Welcome to Focus Today, and what a delight to have back in the studio with us today our good friend Doug Gould. He's the Executive Director of Foundations for Recovery, and we've had him on quite a bit, not only about what he does with his ministry and his foundation, which is just unbelievable.
Thanks.
But he personally is going through metamorphosis.
pretty much, exactly.
And,
feeling good.
And then you got the 5K run coming up this weekend at the Pear Blossom. First of all, Foundations for Recovery, just give us a snapshot. What you guys do?
We are a faith-based community that exists for the purpose of changing lives isolated by the grip of the grip of addiction. And the cool thing is about the foundation is we have peer mentors with experiential knowledge of addiction. And we match them up with, you know, when a client comes through the door, we don't charge for our services because many times financing for treatment and prevention is costly. Yeah. And sometimes when they get to us, they've spent everything they could to get healed. And we match them up with a coach, and then we begin their process of making sure we meet with them weekly and getting them to meetings and work with the program. And I got to tell you, folks, the success rate of Foundations Recovery far exceeds any program that's out there. Absolutely. And it's just wonderful. Well, and you've been on a personal journey. I have. Yeah, it's been good. This gentleman has lost 75 pounds in 3.5 months. Your goal is huge. You're going to lose 200 pounds? 200. It's just an incredible admission what he's doing here. But it's how God told you to do it. Yeah, it was amazing. I was actually in the office and I was working with a young person who, in his mid-20s, who had 2 months off heroin and struggling. You know, I was having those feelings of cravings and so forth. And, you know, it was an amazing thing. It was like I actually heard what I was saying to this young man being spoken to me about my food addiction. And anything I said to this kid, and he's a great kid, you know, I would say, you know, when you run back to that drug, you're going for comfort. When you put that needle in your arm, you're looking for some security and safety. And I heard those words come back to me regarding food. And I started studying about food addiction and read a book by Dr. Tim Clinton and started studying regarding 24 million people suffer in food addiction. Whether it's anorexia or binge eating. And I was the binge eater. I wouldn't eat during the day and then I would load up at night, which is very unhealthy. And I have tried every nutrition program. I've even had weight loss surgery. But, you know, even though the person who is large wants to change, we have a heart and a desire to change, it's changing this and understanding what cravings are. And so when I started processing my own story of recovery over alcoholism and using it now toward food, I understand what those cravings are and what those compulsions are. And now it's been wonderful. I'm eating the better that I've ever eaten before. And I don't need the sugar. I don't need all the Diet Pepsi that I've been drinking, 10 a day at the least. And so it's been great. All right, now you're going to run the 5K. Crawl. Crawl, run, pull, drag. We'll get you across the line. Yeah, exactly. And you've had a challenge out there for people to kind of, you know, join as a challenge when you run this as a fundraiser for Foundations for Recovery. And again, they don't charge for their services. You talk about faith. Hello. I mean, this is, those of us in ministry, every month's a miracle, right? I tell you what, it is. Yeah, absolutely. You want to know what a miracle is? Go to a ministry and see if their lights are still on the first day of the new month. Exactly. That's absolutely right. And that's what you guys are doing. Okay, yeah, so absolutely. You're raising some money here, right? Yeah. What was your goal? Our goal was $2,000 per kilometer. And I'm excited to announce that this morning at 6:30, received a text. I misunderstood her pledge. I thought it was like a $50, like $10 per kilometer. It was actually $50 per kilometer. And that put us over the top. We are now at 2,022 per kilometer, a little over 10,000. And, you know, I'm always looking for ways to engage and get the word out about the foundation. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to raise funding and also bring awareness to addiction, and not just substance abuse, non-substance abuse like food addiction, gambling, pornography, and so forth. Yeah, and I would say whatever your addiction is, and it could be anything. You could be addicted to these stupid things, you know, all these technology things. They're going to match you with somebody who's come through that. Absolutely. And that's the issue here.
And I have picked up the phone and sent, I think, 4 people
Yes,
to you in
you
2
have.
weeks.
I know.
And because I believe so much in what you're doing. But
Thank you.
more importantly, the invisible factor to this is God.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's an amazing thing how God uses the pattern that he's given you to work in people's lives.
Absolutely. You know, I'm a firm believer that God never passes up on using hurt in our life to help someone else. And I got to tell you about a kid, and just real briefly. He came to our office a little over 2 years ago, and I met him, and I started looking at his file and so forth, and come to find out, I actually went to school with his dad. And this young man was battling heroin. He had charges against him, and he started working his program, but he relapsed, and we couldn't find him. And I got a call one late evening, and it was him, and he had been robbed at knife point, lost everything. And I said to him, I said, Nick, just come back to the foundation. You know, and that's what we embrace. You know, there's no shame in relapse. And if you're out there and you feel like you can't start again, trust me, it's worse to stay out. Just come back, and we'll get you going again. And this young man did. And I got to tell you, God restores what the locusts have eaten. And this young man has not only got a full-time job, he's gone to RCC. He's one of our recovery coaches, brilliant at it. He's also engaged now to a wonderful woman, and they're getting married this year. And now he's actually a monthly donor, one very, very blessing. I mean, a much blessing to us. But this kid, this is what about the transformation of a life can do if just given a chance. Amazing story.
And there's so many new addictions out there that quickly, the e-cigarette, that's the big thing.
E-cigarettes, yeah, and get ready for July, folks, because coming to Oregon is legalized marijuana. And they're making the hash oils already to be conducive in those type of mechanical devices.
Yeah. Powder alcohol?
Powdered alcohol, yeah. We actually have a luncheon coming up toward the end of the month on April 23rd. It's at Bobbio's Pizza. Rick and Joy Dietz, owners of Central Point Bobbio's and North Medford Bobbio's, have just been wonderful for us. We have these free luncheons that people can attend, and we're going to be talking about powdered alcohol. Looks like it comes in a Kool-Aid packet. You just mix it up in a bottled water, shake it up, and you've got alcohol.
So what's really alarming is all this is becoming available and is being trafficked through the youth.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny, the latest numbers out of teenrehab.com was 60% of high schools, 60% of schools today, drugs are either kept, sold, or used at our schools today.
Wow. Well, I can't say enough about Foundations for Recovery. Now, if you want to sponsor him on his run,
please.
75 pounds in 3 months. That is pretty impressive. That's huge.
Thank you.
The blister is $1 per 5 case. That's $5. The cramp is $10. These are totals now. The inflammation is $20. The dehydration is $25. The nausea is $100. The double vision is $250, and the chest pains is $500. So if you want to, and let me encourage you this. I just, you know, I have Patrick Doyle on, I have you on, and I realize that addictions are epidemic. And you know what? We all have some form of one. And the question is, and Patrick says this a lot, the only thing that's going to make you change is inspiration or desperation.
Absolutely.
You know? So you get the person when they're desperate, and then you inspire them.
Absolutely. And I, you know, Perry, I'm a firm believer. There's thousands of people within our churches today, you know, suffering in silence because they don't know where to turn. You know, Jesus said, "Come unto me, all who are burdened and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." We don't need that drug to find rest and peace. It's found in Christ. And you know, the wonderful thing about Foundations is that we don't force our faith on anyone that comes through the door. It's their program and pathway to recovery. But Jesus, the scriptures say that Jesus stands at the door of our heart and knocks. And to me, that's a gentleman, and that's what we do. We just, you know what, we gently knock, and hopefully, and prayerfully, that client sitting across that desk is going to open that door to their faith. And you know, Bill Wilson, who wrote the book of Alcoholics Anonymous, said this: imagine life without faith in recovery. You need it, and that's why we try to infiltrate, and it's been a beautiful thing.
Well, I can't say enough, and I think the numbers speak for themselves. What are you, 50?
Well, right now, we did our latest numbers. We're at 58%. We've had 451 participants walk through our doors since opening in December 2011. And Steve Hell had a vision. I mean, my goodness, before he went home to be with the Lord, he always said, we're going to hit 60%. And we did our latest numbers, and we're right about 58%.
Well, it works. It takes one to know one, so to speak, and that's what you do. And you work with these people and you walk with them. Let me encourage you, by the way, if people who do want us by you, today's Thursday, so you got today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, to help them with this challenge, and all the proceeds will go to Foundations for Recovery. What do they do?
Just go to our Facebook page, go to our website. There's a link there that they can go right to surveymonkey.com, and they can look for the form to fill out. Or you can come down to the office like Staff Sergeant Richard Newberg, who came in and donated $200 per kilometer. We didn't even have a level for him, so we made one. We said white light at the end of the tunnel level, you know, because hopefully I won't see that. I'll see the finish light. I won't see a white light.
Yeah.
But you know, but you know what? Bless his heart. He goes, Doug, I believe in what you're doing, and I want to pledge. And when he told me what he was doing for the Wounded Warriors, and he believes in FFR, and these are all for my fellow veterans who suffer with PTSD and addiction, I want to pledge. And I said, Richard, bless your heart, thank you. So whatever level.
Get a hold of them, Foundations for Recovery, and support them. 541. Oh, that's the
541-245-HOPE.
541-245-HOPE. There you go. Let's put them way over the top.
Thank you, Perry.
And by the way, if you need these services, totally confidential.
Yep.
Totally confidential. And I know that, and believe me, once you make the connection, you watch God begin to work.
Amen.
Thank you. You're looking great.
Thanks. I feel great.
Down 75 pounds in 3 months.
Yep. Half the man I used to be.
Almost.
Look for the book. It'll be on your store shelves here soon.
Half the man I used to be. All right, thanks, buddy. We'll be right back.
Thanks,
buddy. Hi, I'm Paulina, and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, thedove.us.
Okay, we're back, and what a delight to have back in the studio with us today Treva Kuyper. She's one of the co-leaders of the ministry called the Loft. I can't say enough about what they're doing for young girls between 8th grade and 12th grade, right?
Yes.
And this usually goes through the school year, but you can join anywhere along the line. And this coming Sunday is Plugged In.
Yes.
How do you unplug a teenager?
I know.
Good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing well.
How was the last one? We had a great time talking about it. How was the attendance?
It was great. It was great. We averaged about 50 girls that came last time. We talked about anxiety and depression, which is a really big topic. Yeah. And I had shared last time that I had been suffering with panic attacks for a few months, and those are gone. I have not had a panic attack since the night before the last Loft. So I think the Lord just used my life and what I had gone through to share my testimony with the girls, and it was really helpful.
Wow, wow. All right, Plugged In. I think, first of all, these kids today are born into this digital age.
Yes.
I think we're not, I read the other day, we have now 2, maybe 3 generations of people born with a mouse in their hand, you know. I mean, they just get technology much quicker than us old folks do, but it's now part of their DNA.
Absolutely.
And it is gobbling up their attention while at the same time cutting their attention span down to nothing.
Absolutely. Yeah, and they don't know any different. So when we, as their parents and their mentors, when we want them to disconnect from their phone or their laptop, their iPad, they kind of look at us like we're crazy, right?
Yeah, right.
Because we remember what it was before the internet. We remember what it was before cell phones, but they don't.
Yeah.
And if they would learn to set down their phone, their iPad, their laptop, even for half of a day, even for a whole day, that's one of the challenges I'm going to give them on Sunday, they're going to find out that they have freedom to do so many other things. But they need to try it out. And it's hard. I think it's scary for them because it's something that, like you said, they're born with a mouse in their hand. I actually think they're more, maybe born with a phone in their hand.
Yeah, right.
But
even these have become computers now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Our phones are our computers, and you can get online anywhere. And even as adults, we need to be that example. In studying for this topic on Sunday, I myself have been convicted of how much I've connected, and when my phone is with me all the time or I'm on the laptop all the time, just stepping aside and walking in freedom, having some real conversation face to face.
This is amazing. There's a couple of points. First of all, the psychological damage. And the risk of being there and the pressure to be there and some of the information that's being exchanged among teenage girls is not healthy, is it? And bullying can happen there.
Absolutely, yes. When, we all are in this age of sharing our whole life online. And I'm a relational person. I love relationships, but we need to have a balance. And we need to have a balance of sharing online, but sharing in real life, having real life relationships, conversation, communication. And these teens, they want that. They want that. They just don't know any different in their life, so we need to teach them that. And that's what we're going to do on Sunday.
What are the dangers of all this connection?
Well, I think that for one, the multitasking that goes on one hand, that can be a blessing, but when you're constantly online, moving from screen to screen to screen, or online, on your laptop, on the phone, on the iPad, all at the same time, the attention span in our young people, it goes down, it plummets. So, again, I think it all goes back to balance.
The other thing, Treva, is here we are so well connected with all these devices. But one of the #1 emotions in America is loneliness.
So true. So true.
Is it true among teenage girls?
Yes, it is true. Yes. Where it's like you can be in a crowd of people, you can be in a room full of people, but you still feel lonely. All of the connection, I think the lack of the physical relationships is what causes them to feel lonely. So they're putting themselves out there online all the time, constantly. They're getting likes on their page, they're getting likes on their pictures and things like that. That becomes their world, and that becomes their worth. And that's where the lie is. Their worth and their value doesn't have to do with who they are online.
Teenagers, so much going on. You got the physical changes going on, you got all the emotional changes going on. Somehow we think now we can trust them with a car.
Right. Right?
You got all that going on. And then you put them behind the wheel of a car. And then you put in your hand all these devices. What's going on here?
Oh, the texting and driving. They say that texting and driving is actually more dangerous than someone who drives under the influence of alcohol or marijuana, which just absolutely floors me. And someone who has their phone in their hand is 4 times more likely to get in a car crash than someone that sets their phone down. That really hit me hard. Like, not even to have your phone in your hand, whether you're trying to find music on your phone or you're just holding it, having it on speaker, whatever the deal is, putting it away. There's different apps that parents can go check out that can actually, they can be in control of their teenager's phone to put it in airplane mode so they're not hearing the text messages, those kinds of things, so that there's a little bit more control.
Now, are these young girls trying to create an image for them online that maybe not true? In other words, it's image control, but it could be false image control.
Yes.
Because one thing you're discovering at the Loft is who they hang out with and what they're trying to be is not what's really on the inside.
Absolutely. I think what social media has done is given us a way to portray who we want to be. And it's not the reality oftentimes. And so there's this whole idea that, one, maybe they're too transparent online. They forget that everybody's looking. And then the other side of it is they're not actually, it's a persona. They're not actually sharing their heart. They're just sharing the highlights of their life. And then you go into girls being jealous of other girls. They see their life online. They see their life on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and think, well, my life doesn't look like that. Yeah. But they're just actual highlights. They're not the reality of people's lives.
Before we get into your next project, if a parent is not allowing their child to have one of these devices, what kind of peer pressure does that put on them? What's it do to them?
Well,
because every kid's got one.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I would do today as a parent. I don't know how I'd manage this because it's too tempting to go in the wrong place with these devices. You can put all the screens you want there, but eventually you can get to what you want to do.
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, and the bottom line is the teenagers know more than their parents do about technology.
Right.
You know, I would encourage the parents
Wait
to...
till something breaks. Ask your kid to fix it.
I have a teenage daughter, and oftentimes anything in our house, we call her the technology whiz. We just hand her the phone, we hand her the laptop, here, fix this. You know, inevitably they know more than we do. So when we put privacy settings or we put controls on things, you know, they can figure out a way, or they have a friend that can figure out a way around that. So I think the issue really is for parents to study up on technology in their teens, to have conversation with their teenagers, and to really communicate what their desires are for their teens and why, instead of just don't do that. The whys. Our daughter just she's 16, and we just let her have a Facebook in the last month. She doesn't have an iPhone. She has the old kind of phone. It's not that I think it's wrong that teenagers have these things, and she will eventually have these things, but it's us as parents teaching them responsibility, teaching them integrity, teaching them through our own example how to maneuver through the technology age without like losing your soul, you know, in the process. A little bit of privacy and remembering the transparency thing. That's really huge, because I think our young people don't quite grasp that what they put online can affect their jobs in the future, you know.
Big time. Be careful. Be careful, and I think that's one of the messages you're trying to convey. All right, this weekend, or this Sunday at the Loft, what time?
5:30.
And look, you can just come for this session. So if you have a teenage girl or a girl between 8th grade and 12th grade, and they want to gather up some friends, and you're kind of concerned about the two plugged in, what a great way. Tell them take their devices and go over there.
Yes.
5:30 Sunday evening. That'll be at the Community Bible Church in Central Point.
Absolutely, and we're gonna have a great time. We feed them dinner. We do games and prizes. So we're not bringing them there to lecture them, to tell them all the same things that they've heard.
No, you guys really minister.
We just love them.
They have a great time and tremendous response. What do you got going here?
Well, what we have on April 24th, we're really excited about. It's our first event fashion show called Runway to Hope. And what we're doing is we're putting on a fashion show to bring awareness to sex trafficking.
Wow.
And we wanted to have an event that would be fun and lighthearted, things that our teenagers love, which is fashion, but then also open it up to the whole community. So the whole Rogue Valley is invited. It's a free event, and Rebecca Bender from Rebecca Bender Ministries is coming to speak. She's our guest speaker, and she's a survivor of sex trafficking, and she's going to share her story. You and I spoke in February on our topic on sex and relationships. Right. Online safety, this has to do with the sex trafficking. So several times throughout the year, our topics have brought up the issue of sex trafficking and how it is a huge issue even in our valley that people don't think about.
It's big. It's big.
It is big.
Yeah.
And so it was really our heart to put together a fun event where we could invite everybody, the whole community, and have Rebecca come and share her story and bring that awareness.
Runway to Hope, and it'll be April 24th. We'll talk more about it down the road here. And where's it going to be?
It's going to be at Community Bible Church in the gymnasium. It's at 7 p.m.
Okay.
We do say that people 13 and up are invited because of the nature of the topic, little children.
Right.
We would love for them to stay home.
Yeah.
But everyone else, absolutely, to come and to just have our eyes open to what's going on in our valley.
Mark that down on your calendar, April 24th, and again, that'll be Runway to Hope. That's going to be at Community Bible Church. But this Sunday, 5:30 at Community Bible Church in Central Point. If you have a young girl somewhere between 8th grade and 12th grade, gather her up and her friends and take them over to the Loft. They'll be loved on, they'll be fed, they'll have a lot of fun, and then they'll be dealing with a subject I think that they're all plugged in. So how do we get them unplugged for a while? Thanks, Treva.
Thank you.
You're wonderful. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paula, and I work at theDove TV. Every day we get letters and emails from people who've been encouraged, blessed, and challenged by the programs on the Dove TV. But we couldn't do it without you. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to bring inspiration and hope to our community by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or call us at 541-776-5368.
Well, welcome back. Delight to have in the studio with us former State Senator Jason Atkinson, our oldest son, turned movie producer and fly fisherman instructor. Does all kinds of things. But we want to talk about this movie. Jason, congratulations. I understand it will be officially launched this weekend.
We premiere Saturday at the Ashland Independent Film Festival, which is great. I didn't anticipate we would do that locally, but the fact that we are is fitting. The first screening sold out in an hour. And so Ashland added a second screening, which I believe there's still a few seats left on Monday. I think if you go on their website, you can get them. But so there's a few seats left on Monday, and then we do a tour with it in the Northwest, which will be fun, and then hopefully followed by one on the East Coast, and then it rolls out nationally this summer.
All right. Now, for those who don't, the name of the movie, the title of the movie is A River Between Us. And why? Why did you do it? What's the purpose of this film?
Well, it's kind of, you know, I've always said the very worst radio interviews I've ever done are with you, because you already know most of the answers to the questions. But so I guess we're playing along for the audience. Yeah. But the purpose of the film, I guess the best way to look at it is more like the film Supersize Me. So there were all of these reports that said that supersized fast food would kill you. There were all of these lobbyists that were supporting the fast food industry. And there was all of these lobbyists and special interest groups that were trying to get people to pass laws to quit doing fattening food on children and all this big controversy. Well, a guy makes a film, and a week later, McDonald's pulls it from the menu. And I said, you know, that's an interesting topic, because that approach has never happened before on natural resource issues, on social justice issues, dealing with tribal nations, with things in the West. You have to remember, while we live on the West, most people in the Midwest or the East Coast don't know anything about cowboys or Indians or farmers or where does their fish come from. They just don't. It's just, we are the West. We're the Wild West. And so the stereotypes that people on the East Coast have about us on the West Coast largely are true. And so what I did is, after 20 years of working behind the scenes on the resolution of the Klamath River, which is the largest restoration project in American history, that is the coming together of very diverse people groups to do something truly amazing. I employed using film as a way to shape culture, shaping culture as a way to get politics to respond to that, to get the ultimate result. For all the years I've been in public life, it's been take an issue, go through politics to get a cultural result. Film was a way for me to do it the other way.
It started out as a movie about the Klamath River and what it could be done to the river, because our family is personally tied to that river for generations. But to fix the river, that was kind of the term, fix the river. And that was part of you looking at the Klamath River and a big motivation. But in the process, you found out there were people involved.
Well, the problem I had with the story, and it was the same problem I had with being in politics, was that I knew too much. I was the white, or am the white, Republican elected in the northern part of the river who is, 100% with all the farmers. And I'm also the guy that knew all of the tribal nations and had relationships for years downriver. And what we had in Oregon is people looked at the Klamath as an Oregon problem, which it's not. And then people in California, largely Sacramento, can't find the place on the map. So what you do is you have a whole bunch of people groups that are completely abandoned by their government. So this was where there was a push to create a new state. And it was a legitimate push called the state of Jefferson. This is the longest water war in the West. This is the third largest salmon run historically that now is a fraction of that. So you had all of those groups, but just for me the journey was I knew the people, I knew the story, but what I didn't know is that and the reason why people respond so powerfully to this film is it really is the Beatitudes. I didn't know that, and now I do.
And the Beatitudes in particular, the one Beatitude, blessed are the peacemakers, and I think that's pretty evident when you see this film. We have a trailer, and you set the trailer up. This is kind of a capsule of what this is all about.
Well, the trailer shows what a trailer is supposed to do, a snapshot of the film. The trailer will show how big it is. I am pleased to tell you that the trailer shows the quality of it. Mm-hmm. This isn't a video. This is a full-blown national documentary. I think the other thing that the film or the trailer shows is that we didn't make something regionally. We made something that works for people who take a subway to work, something that plays well in New York City or South Carolina or a place that doesn't know anything about the West. So I think with that, we'll show the trailer.
And I think the other thing is I want to say here, this is a documentary, and this isn't something you're going to see one time. This is a tool that's going to be used to bring about a significant change in the Pacific Northwest. But let's take a look at this trailer.
I'm down with Klamath, bring the salmon home! I'm down with Klamath, bring the salmon home!
The Klamath River Basin stands to become the largest river restoration project in the United States history. Bigger than the Everglades, bigger than anything we've attempted before.
There are communities hanging on by a thread. We have got to have some stability.
Anybody who's been seriously involved in water issues in this basin has received death threats.
Anyone that could kill and murder hundreds of thousands of fish didn't belong here.
It's neighbor against neighbor that really breaks my heart.
The federal government put them up the river and they created this whole community based on water, and that's a high desert.
They were not here, neither were the Coho.
Look at the tribal legends.
Oh, screw the tribal legends.
I think that they still see this as a win for the Indians. I think that scares them.
Well, I think there's racism in this country. I think there's racism in the world. I think the Valley is reflective of that.
No more of this red tape. We say it's white tape.
I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat or Tea Party or progressive or green. I don't care. Fix this issue.
No one did anything wrong. It's that these decisions all made sense at the time that they were made, but the problem is they overallocated the basin and created bitter disputes.
People don't even think about, what am I living on? Whose back am I living on?
A dozen different ways to make power, but there's only one Klamath River, and there's only one salmon run that God made.
Because you are praying for the wrong thing. You're praying for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. You're not praying for the right thing.
I truly believe that when the river is restored, we will see our people heal.
I can't in good conscience go back to that other place. I can't do it.
I really do think that if we can succeed in the Klamath Basin, we can succeed anywhere.
Well, there you go. A documentary produced by Jason Atkinson, narrator, producer, writer, originator of this film called A River Between Us. All right, there's a lot of dynamics with all of this on the river. You got fishermen, you got farmers, you got power companies, you got miners, you got all those dynamics. And the film shows that there may have been a break in those relationships. And if that matures, where do you want this to go?
Well, I think originally the name of the film was Why the Klamath Matters, and the answer is because the story reflects who we all are as Americans. If we do nothing, that's who we are. If we stay divided, that's who we are. If we do something big again, that's who we are. So when we changed the name of the film, obviously to a better title, the output has always been, the goal has always been the same. The Klamath River and all of those issues really are a larger metaphor for the country. And so what I hope happens is, obviously, I hope that we get resolution on this issue here in the region. But what we've already found with our limited screenings is that people see this as a model to do it in other parts of the world. So we've got, I had a guy call a couple weeks ago, and he wants to use this as a template in Thailand, and I got called from Georgia. So all of those things are great, but what I really hope happens is that people who see the film see people who are moved by it. All of the particulars in the film are really the metaphor to, can Americans be big again? Can you accomplish big things again? And what happens if you live the Beatitudes in your life? Okay. Can you do anything big?
There is a spiritual element to this, and leading up to that, and I want you to certainly explain that. But before I take a break, is the overall problem with the Klamath River is the allocation of the water? Is that it? That's what everybody thought it was. Okay. So what's the overall problem?
People.
Okay.
And the fact that you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and when that ratio gets flipped around, bad things happen.
All right, so where does the Beatitudes come in? We'll share that with you when we come back. And again, it's called A River Between Us. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Daniel, and I work at theDove TV. You know, compared to Portland, Seattle, and LA, Medford might be considered a small market. But at theDove, we're excited about the opportunity to make a big impact right here in our community. And you help make that happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us now by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or by phoning 541-776-5368.
Okay, we're back, and special guest today is my oldest son, Jason Atkinson, former state senator and now movie producer. He's produced a film. You've been at it, what, 4 years, almost 5 on this deal?
Going on 5.
Raised his own money, did a project, deals with the whole issue of the Klamath River and all of the people who are involved. It's entitled A River Between Us. It'll debut at the Ashland Film Festival this coming weekend. And there is still some tickets available for the second showing on Monday, so you may want to go to the Ashland Film Festival website and see if you can grab one of those. The first showing sold out like that. And this is the beginning of the launch of the film that will go nationwide. And I asked you the question when we went into the break. It appears everybody thought the issue on the Klamath River was that the government over-allocated the water. But what came as a result of that was the division of the people. Mm-hmm. And the movie now deals with, can that be healed? Can those people come back together? That brings in very much a spiritual element, a biblical element, the Beatitudes. Tell us about that.
Well, we tried to, my direction for the team the whole time was make this matter to someone that takes a subway to work. Because there's so many different choirs that you can preach to here. You can preach to the environmental choir, you can preach to the Tea Party choir, you can preach to the political choir, you can preach to, there's 1,000 choirs that want you to tell their side. And I said, none of those are as important as people that don't care. If you want to affect culture, go to people who don't care, don't go to your choir. So we make this matter to someone that rides a subway to work. And so as we were on this very long tour, shooting, we were down at the mouth of the Klamath, and we were working our way up, and we're seeing old friends, and we're doing interviews, and everything is falling apart, and every reservation we had is no longer working, and the batteries are dying, and it's all the production of the production of the production. And my guys are tired, and they've been doing nothing but drinking Red Bull, and you know, all that. So you shoot in the morning when the light's perfect, you shoot in the evening, and during the day you stress out. And then it hit me very hard one afternoon during that trip about why are people reacting? How come I do an interview and turn around and see that everybody who's on the set is crying? Why are people crying? So my film guys don't know anything about politics or fish or rural West or any of that. Why are they crying when I'm talking to a cowboy? Why? Well, the answer is what they're seeing being lived out. So I think you've got a couple of clips left. You have the Beatitudes clip, I think, and those are for our national campaign. We're going to show them here before we put them out virally. And then the other one, my favorite answer, which we couldn't even use in the film, was one of those interviews we did with a friend of mine named Kurt Thomas. And when I get done with that interview, I turn around and everybody behind me, all the film grips, all of the whole team is crying and trying not to let their crying get on the microphone. Why is that? That's the key question.
Let's do the first one, the Beatitude one first, and this kind of sets it up for the one that you won't see in the film. So let's do the Beatitude one.
When we started the film, I knew we were making a national film. I wanted to make a people film about this notion, if you heal these people, they will heal this river, which in turn is the largest conservation project ever attempted in our history. And with the belief that these people are the very best in America and represent the very best in America. Well, those are pretty high notions. But what I didn't know, starting that I know now, is that we really made a film about the Beatitudes, and we were watching people live that out. Blessed are the peacemakers, those who mourn, those who show mercy, those who are humble. They start inheriting multi-generational issues, and they heal at the end by playing out the Beatitudes. And when we realized that, we realized we were sitting on something far bigger than a fish movie, far bigger than a river movie, far bigger than something that's in a documentary. We were actually watching people heal.
Did they know they were healing? Because I think
No, they're so exhausted
from defending their side.
So exhausted. Their politicians have let them down. Their politicians have played on fear. Anybody who has stepped the line over to love their neighbor has been shunned. Either politically, socially, at the supermarket, even at church, because these lines have been so drawn for the last 3 or 4 generations. So people are exhausted. When we show the film, when we brought a bunch of folks together who were in the film, and we brought the Governor Kulongoski and Governor Brown together. We had a private screening a month ago in Portland. And for some people, this was the first time they had seen the finished film. And then it brings some influencers, you know, we're starting this rollout. People saw themselves on the screen. Kulongoski and Brown, when the film's over, lead this standing ovation, and I turn around and I look at the people the cast members who were there, and they're all crying, which is apparently why, I don't know why we're not sponsored by Kleenex, but you can see a huge sense of relief because now they were able to put it all together. So it's interesting.
Let me see if I can get into this last piece because I think it's important. Set this up real quickly, the last video.
Kurt Thomas, good friend of mine, probably the best lit, best shot, best interview that we couldn't use. He does look like the Marlboro Man. He's a wonderful guy, and I asked him a question he couldn't answer.
All right, take a look.
I actually lost count of how many interviews we did. I don't know I know we got close to 80. Maybe we did more than that. But hands down, I think my favorite one was when we interviewed Kurt Thomas. It was great. It was fun. It was very smart. It's a perfect night. Everything was perfect. But the last question that I asked him about what does he want his legacy to be? Maybe what does he want his legacy to be to his great-grandchildren who he might not ever meet? And his answer to this day, it really gets to me. It's very soulful. It's very powerful. It's very. I wish we could have used it in the film somewhere. But as I look back, I know that's my favorite quote of all the interviews that we did. My son's the old man, and your great grandkids have been handed this thing. What do you want them to say about you?
Ooh. Ooh. That's a hard one. I guess that I did this, that I taught them to love it and that I protected it, and that they're also husbands of it, that it's not theirs, that legacy is not one of ownership, it's one of, because they'll have other opportunities to create and change. But they can't look back at me and say he failed to do what he could. I guess that's what I'd want them to say.
Well, we've touched all around this film. It gets released Saturday. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
And what's next? I mean, what do you want this to do? What's the ultimate goal of this film?
Well, I guess I've always wanted to be in the movies, so the way to begin the movies is to make your own movie and put yourself in it. So I don't know what the next, hopefully something good career-wise will come out of this. But 3 weeks ago, the Interior Secretary of the United States saw the film and was, I'm told by multiple folks, was moved by it. There is a political solution that, as hard as I've worked on the film, we're working on getting that completed under the old model that you can accomplish anything if you give the credit away.
Yeah.
So that is a life of its own. I hope that the film generates a tremendous amount of cultural shift so we can move away from this lawsuit model of settling differences, especially here in the West. And frankly, I hope there's a lot of folks who, rightfully so, have hard feelings that are able to heal.
All right, we're out of time, but let me ask you this. Is there a website for the film?
ariverbetweenus.com.
ariverbetweenus.com.
And Facebook and all that, so join the campaign as we roll it out across the country.
Well, when will it be available for the average Joe?
I'm working on that. There'll be a theatrical, probably some theatrical runs, and then probably early fall, I'm hoping that it'll be out for the whole country.
All right. ariverbetweenus.com. Check it out. Join the campaign. I think you'll be moved deeply by it. Well, congratulations. It gets launched this weekend at the Ashland Film Festival. And then from there, I guess you're on a tour to get it going.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you next time on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Jim and I work at theDove TV. Every weekday between 6 and 8 a.m., our award-winning news and sports team bring you the best morning show around. It's live, it's honest, and it's a whole lot of fun. and you help make it happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to air local programs that share your voice by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us.